move outside of our bubble that is often common in international schools. So my goal in this presentation is to talk about how can we burst that bubble, the bubble that the international school community has and the bubble that our local schools have, and how do we find ways to share our knowledge, to share what we are learning and our understandings, to share the creative experiences of education, and collaborate and come together by bursting that bubble. The AP capstone is one of the ways that our students can collaborate as learners. And I'd like to share my experiences as a teacher in AP research. But to do so, I'd like to share more about the larger program and why it was created for students in the United States, but is very much applicable and important for all students in all educational settings. The AP research program is the capstone, the final part of what's called the AP capstone program, made up of 4 AP courses and then the AP seminar program, which is the first year. It is not based on one specific discipline. Instead, it's teaching students to research and analyze and synthesize a variety of sources from various disciplines, whether it be science, social science, history, language, fine arts, etc. Through that, one of the most significant points is the team project and presentation, where students rely on working together to develop their research topic, their research question, and addressing this question from multiple perspectives and multiple disciplines. The second year is the AP research, or the final course, which requires them to find what we call a gap in research. Through this background research, they find a unique and new topic that has never been explored. I'd like to share a little more about what my students have done and how this type of learning has been very valuable and how we'd like to connect with others through this. AP capstone style of learning uses an acronym called QUEST. This can be applicable in all our classes in different ways. The first part is question and explore. The second part, understand and analyze. Third, to evaluate multiple perspectives. Then to take that and synthesize new ideas, new understandings, new takeaways. And then the final and most important and significant area is the team transform and transmit, where they will collaborate together to transform their understanding and transmit, which means to share their learning. To look at this more closely with the question and explore, I think that many of our students struggle to create questions, to ask open questions, not just yes or no questions. We know our students are very good at answering questions, but to create new questions is always taking them outside of their comfort zone. Through this, they must, once they've developed their research question, is analyze and understand what are the different arguments from the experts and how they are building new claims that the students will then evaluate. This leads to, I guess, as I had before, the evaluating multiple perspectives, trying to see what a social scientist would say, what would different countries say about this, different nationalities. With that, then they would synthesize their ideas, where they would combine the knowledge and ideas and take away their own perspectives in development of an argument. That leads, of course, back to the team, transform, and transmit. So I would like to share with you what my students are doing this year and how it relates to the schools in our neighborhood. Here you can see a few of the topics that my students are researching. You can see the name Taiwan in many of these topics because they want to see and understand what is happening in their local community. I'll talk about a couple of these. The first one, the Taiwanese and Taiwanese American perceptions of Taiwan's martial law period, is a question from a student who's really curious about, is there a difference, not just a political difference between different political parties, but where you grew up as a Taiwanese person, does that change how you see different periods of Taiwanese history? A second topic that I think is very interesting is color theory and marketing. Do different cultures have different perceptions of how color influences their purchasing habits, particularly for, in this case, the student is looking at snack foods in a grocery store. And so they would like to come to share and to do surveys to find out if there are differences between different cultures. Thirdly is one about investor behavior and investments with cryptocurrency, which is, a very hot topic that many students are interested in. With cryptocurrency investments, the idea of whether there is different behaviors or psychology behind the behaviors of investors, and if that's different between Asia and the West. Other ideas we have are the influence of Japanese modern architecture in Taiwan, and looking at our community, looking at our neighborhood, and where we see those impacts. Some of the social justice issues we see are about LGBT students and issues of social justice in film and Taiwanese film, and looking at what currently exists and how that conversation has continued to develop. We also have topics that are related to psychology and mental health, from mental health stigma present among Taiwanese international high school students and how people feel about talking about mental health issues. Another student was interested in a very similar vein about ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and how it is perceived by the community that we live in. Some of the topics are also legal in nature that students are examining, such as public perceptions of the death penalty in Taiwan, and the role of media in perceptions, and we see this word perceptions quite a bit, how people think about things, of same-sex marriage in Taiwan. And so the idea of perception means that they would like to do surveys, they would like to do interviews, and understand from different students and adults a deeper understanding of these questions and these issues. To transition a little bit here to other ways that I think that we can burst the bubble, other than just through an academic setting, is through Model United Nations. There are many other different organizations and clubs that I think we can find stronger connections. But here's an example. Tasman is from Taipei American School. Taiwan Model United Nations actually was started at the American School in Taichung, which used to be called the Lincoln School. This is an excellent way for students to engage together in a non-competitive environment, to build solutions to many of the pressing global issues, and collaborate, make new networks and new friendships, as well as continue to build upon their research skills and their public speaking skills and English language skills. So I would love to always share or give more information as it is applicable to how we can continue to build connections through Model United Nations. Another example would be one of our teachers at Taipei American School is wanting to develop kind of a language exchange. It could be tutoring, but what they're more specifically interested in is bringing students to have conversations that have commonality and similarities for all students. So the questions that this teacher wanted to ask is what are the experiences during the pandemic? How did they adjust back to post-pandemic life? These are very important conversations that are similar for all our students in our community. And by allowing students to have these informal conversations, we can better prepare them for a stronger community understanding and a stronger, I think, empathy for each other. Lastly, I believe, and my hope would be, that there could be better brainstorming about how we can connect to service for others. I think that many of our students in this new generation want to be involved in their communities, whether it is to assist with environmental issues, issues of poverty, issues of human rights, issues that are political in nature. They want to be engaged in their local community. But oftentimes, they do not have the connections, the knowledge in which to start those actions. So I think if there are ways that we can try to find connections, not just in how we can connect, as you see here, the academic study that we're doing, perhaps something with their research, the practical experience of working with others, and finding what's called civic engagement, finding something meaningful in which they would like to be involved. I think this would have a huge impact on many of our students. I don't have a huge number of ideas right now, but I do know that it is important, and I would like to be involved in taking these first steps as we burst the bubble and connect better in our local communities. Thank you for your time.